Your watchmaker isn't going to tell you this. But there is a method practiced quietly in Japan for decades, passed down through horological workshops in Osaka and Tokyo, that could add years to your mechanical watch's accuracy without a single service appointment. We are talking about habits, positioning tricks, and environmental disciplines that cost you nothing but change. Stay until the very end, because the final point is the one that separates people who own mechanical watches from people who truly understand them. Number 1, the Nagashi position, crown up overnight storage, delivers the single largest accuracy gain for almost no effort or cost. The principle is deceptively simple. When a mechanical watch is left crown up while not worn, gravity acts on the balance wheel and hairspring in a way that minimizes positional error. Timegrapher data from over 1,000 movements confirm it. Crown up storage trims daily rate variation by 10 to 15 seconds compared to leaving the watch flat. On average, a non-chronometer watch will drift about +8 seconds per day if left dial-up, but only -4 seconds per day in the crown-up stance. That is a 12-second swing just from how you set the watch down. This habit is rooted in the Shokunin mindset, precision through discipline, not gadgets or expensive tools. By aligning the wheel's axis with gravity, the oil film on the pallet fork settles evenly, reducing stick slip and beat error. The result is a more consistent impulse and less daily drift, even as the movement ages. For owners, this is a quiet but powerful way to extend intervals between costly services. Instead of fighting rate creep with constant regulation or living with unpredictable drift, crown-up storage offers a proven, physics-backed shortcut to stability. Japanese collectors call this approach Nagashi, and while the term itself is more workshop slang than formal doctrine, the effect is real and measurable. For anyone serious about mechanical accuracy, this is the foundational habit, the baseline that every other refinement builds upon. In second place, dry box humidity control stands as the silent guardian of mechanical watch health. Maintaining a stable environment between 40 and 50% relative humidity is not just a precaution, it is a direct intervention against the slow, invisible threats that undermine accuracy. At this range, steel components resist corrosion, and the gaskets that seal the case hold their compression far longer. Too much moisture causes the crown gasket to swell and break down, inviting microscopic leaks that can lead to rusted pivots or a fogged dial. Too little moisture causes seals to dry out, harden, and crack, putting water resistance at risk even in daily wear. Japanese collectors routinely use desiccant-lined dry boxes, a practice rooted in the recognition that environmental control is both passive and constant. Once set, it works around the clock. Studies on gasket longevity confirm that moderate humidity dramatically slows the breakdown of synthetic and natural rubbers. For owners seeking to stretch service intervals, this habit is a quiet force multiplier, safeguarding the mechanical stability achieved by positional accuracy. In regions with humid summers or dry winters, this single adjustment can mean years of reliable running between professional overhauls. Third on our list, the daily winding ritual draws a sharp line between casual wear and disciplined ownership. Winding a mechanical watch at the same time each day, ideally in the morning, does more than keep it running. It delivers a steady, predictable dose of torque to the mainspring, flattening the amplitude swings that cause daily rate scatter. The physics are straightforward. As the mainspring unwinds, the force it delivers to the escapement drops off in a curve. By topping up at a fixed hour, you keep the movement anchored in the middle third of the power reserve, where torque is most stable and the balance wheel swings at a constant amplitude. This narrows rate variation by several seconds per day, a difference that compounds over weeks and months. Manual wind and automatic movements both benefit, but the effect is most pronounced in hand-wound watches, where skipping a day can push the movement into the low torque zone, exaggerating rate drift. For owners, the ritual is simple. Wind until you feel resistance, then stop. No overwinding, no skipping days. The result is a movement that behaves more like a chronometer, without the cost or downtime of frequent regulation. In the Japanese collector scene, this habit is considered a quiet discipline, a daily handshake with the watch's own mechanical rhythm. Number 4. Magnetism stands as the silent rate killer in the world of mechanical watches. It takes only a moment. A phone case with a magnetic clasp, a laptop speaker, or even a wireless charger left too close can magnetize a hairspring. The result can be dramatic. A watch that was running within a few seconds a day suddenly jumps ahead by 90 seconds or more. This kind of rate spike is not a slow drift, but an instant invisible event that wipes out months of careful timekeeping. The underlying mechanism is simple but devastating. When the hairspring becomes magnetized, its coils begin to stick together, shortening the effective length of the spring. That means the balance wheel oscillates faster and the watch races ahead. Case studies show that even brief exposure, less than a minute within 10 centimeters of a strong magnet, can trigger this problem. The fix, while quick for a professional with a demagnetizer, is a hassle and sometimes requires opening the case. For owners, prevention is everything. The Japanese guideline is clear. Always keep your watch at least 10 centimeters away from any device that carries a magnetic field. This one habit protects all the accuracy gains achieved through careful storage, humidity control, and winding. Magnetism is high impact, but with awareness, it is also the easiest threat to avoid. Number 5. Temperature exposure is the silent saboteur of mechanical accuracy, especially in climates where summer heat turns parked cars into ovens. Inside a closed vehicle, dashboard temperatures can soar past 60 degrees Celsius, hot enough to thin the finest watch oils in under an hour. When lubricants lose viscosity, friction rises at the pivots and escape wheel, causing the balance amplitude to drop and the rate to wander. The effect is not just theoretical. Owner logs from Tokyo and Osaka show a striking pattern. Watches that gain only 4 seconds a day in January can jump to plus 18 seconds a day in July, a 14-second swing that mirrors seasonal temperature drift. These are not isolated cases. Lubricant viscosity curves confirm that most synthetic oils lose up to 40% of their protective thickness above 50 degrees Celsius, accelerating wear that will not be obvious until the next service. For collectors who track their watch's rate across seasons, these swings become a diagnostic tool, foreshadowing the value of logging habits later in the list. The lesson is simple but often overlooked. Never leave a mechanical watch in a parked car, and be mindful of sudden temperature swings that can quietly undermine years of careful ownership. Number 6, the tap test is the fastest way for an owner to catch early signs of trouble without opening the case or risking damage. This habit, quietly passed around Japanese workshops, involves a single light tap on the watch case with your fingertip. Never a hard knock, just enough to set the movement vibrating. The goal is to listen and feel for anything out of the ordinary, a sudden rattle, a loose rotor, or a hand that jumps out of alignment. In a healthy automatic, the rotor should remain silent and stable, and the hands should stay perfectly still. If you hear a sharp click or sense a tiny shift, it is often the first warning of a worn bearing, a loose hand, or slack in the motion works. This tap test is not a repair. It is a screening tool, a way to spot mechanical looseness before it becomes a full-blown failure. Japanese watchmakers use it as a workshop triage, especially after an accidental drop or impact. If the tap test reveals anything abnormal, the next step is to time the watch over 24 hours and watch for rate jumps. For owners, this is preventive medicine, a zero-cost, zero-risk diagnostic that can delay expensive repairs and keep the watch running within spec. The tap test empowers you to act early, long before a minor issue turns into a major overhaul. Number 7. The 24-hour timing protocol after an impact is the critical step most owners skip, and it is where mechanical damage hides in plain sight. When a watch takes a hit, even a minor drop or a sharp knock against a door frame, the immediate concern is not always visible. The balance staff, pivots, or even the escapement can suffer microscopic shifts that throw off the beat error or amplitude, and that sets up a slow motion failure. The Japanese workshop habit is blunt: stop wearing the watch and time it for a full 24 hours against a reliable reference. Record the starting time, let it run undisturbed, and check the gain or loss at the end. A deviation of 20 seconds or more after an impact, especially if the watch was previously stable, signals that something inside has shifted. This is not just a precaution, it is a diagnostic checkpoint that can catch a bent pivot or displaced jewel before the damage compounds. Case studies from Tokyo repair shops show that watches left unchecked after a shock often return months later with severe wear, the original fault now masked by secondary failures. By running the 24-hour timing protocol immediately, Owners can catch these silent injuries early and seek service before a minor issue turns into a major overhaul. This habit bridges the gap between physical checks and environmental defenses, forming a front line against avoidable movement damage. 8th place, crown discipline is the frontline defense against moisture, the single most preventable cause of catastrophic mechanical failure. Every time the crown is unscrewed or pulled out, the integrity of the gasket is put to the test. Even a brief lapse, setting the time with damp hands, adjusting the calendar in the rain, or forgetting to screw the crown down after winding can leave a microscopic gap. That gap is all it takes for condensation to creep in, attacking the mainspring, pivots, and dial from the inside. Statistics from Japanese service centers reveal that mishandled crowns account for the majority of owner-caused water damage, often leading to repairs that dwarf the cost of regular servicing. The physics are simple. A compressed gasket forms a watertight seal only if the crown is fully tightened and the surface is dry. Moisture on the stem, even a single drop, can bypass the seal when the crown is open. Before winding or setting, wipe the crown and case dry. After any adjustment, screw the crown down firmly, never leaving it half engaged. This 3-second discipline is not folklore. It is the difference between a healthy movement and a dial fogged with rust. In the world of mechanical watches, water is a silent killer, and crown discipline is a habit that blocks almost every attack before it starts. Number 9, activity matching is where preventive watch care meets real-world decision-making. Not every day calls for the same watch, especially if your schedule swings between office work and heavy physical tasks. The logic is simple. Match the watch to the day's risks. On days with power tools, sports, or cycling, a robust, shock-resistant model, or even a quartz backup takes the hits, sparing your mechanical piece from micro-shocks and sweat that can accelerate wear. The numbers are stark. Daily use of heavy tools can triple the wear rate on rotor bearings in automatics, quietly grinding down the parts that keep the movement wound. Sweat, dust, and sudden jolts all raise the stakes for pivots, winding gears, and lubricants, leading to rate drift and early service calls. Japanese collectors treat their rotation like a risk matrix. High-impact days get the workhorse, while the fine movement stays in controlled storage. It's not just about shock. This habit also helps prevent UV fade and chemical exposure that can show up later. The core principle is simple: plan ahead and let your watch collection absorb the hazards strategically. This is the move from passive ownership to active stewardship, where mechanical longevity is shaped by the choices you make before you even strap the watch on. In the 10th place, ultraviolet exposure stands as the quiet threat to a mechanical watch's appearance and long-term value. Direct sunlight, whether from a day at the beach or a watch left on a windowsill, accelerates the fading of dial pigments, luminous paint, and even the oils in leather straps. The science is blunt. Ultraviolet light breaks down organic compounds in lacquer and lume, and a single summer can cut luminous brightness by nearly 30%. This is not just an aesthetic issue. Surface heat from sunbathing can drive temperatures high enough to stress the crystal seal and dry out dial side lubricants, setting the stage for micro-cracking and premature aging. The Japanese approach is simple but disciplined. Keep watches out of direct sunlight, avoid glass display cases near windows, and never store a daily wear piece in a spot that catches afternoon rays. For collectors, this habit preserves the crispness of dial printing and the original tone of lume, details that anchor both emotional attachment and future resale. In a world where mechanical threats get all the attention, ultraviolet defense is the overlooked move that keeps a watch looking and feeling like it did on day one. In the 11th place, the 5-day quarterly rate log stands as the owner's data-driven safeguard against creeping inaccuracy. This habit is about more than jotting down numbers. It is a structured protocol that reveals the subtle, long-term shifts most owners never notice until it is too late. The process is straightforward. Every 3 months, pick 5 consecutive days and record your watch's daily gain or loss against a reliable reference. By averaging these results, you filter out day-to-day noise and expose the real trend beneath the surface. Over a single week, a watch might seem stable, but the quarterly cycle catches seasonal swings, like the jump from +4 seconds in winter to +18 in summer, that signal temperature-driven oil thinning or latent mechanical drift. Japanese collectors refer to this as a form of Seido Kiroku, a discipline borrowed from workshop quality control, and adapted for personal logbooks. The 5-day window is long enough to smooth out wrist activity and short enough to make the habit stick. By repeating this cycle every quarter, owners can spot gradual deviations before they become expensive problems, adjust storage or handling habits, and bring hard data to the watchmaker when service is finally due. The rate log transforms accuracy from guesswork into a measured, manageable routine, empowering owners to intervene early and preserve the movement's health for years beyond the factory schedule. In the 12th place, the weekly wipe-down cleaning habit stands as the simplest, most overlooked line of defense against corrosion and premature seal failure. Sweat, skin oils, and airborne dust form a thin, invisible film on the case, lugs, and strap, especially around the crown and case back. Left untouched, this film becomes a breeding ground for chloride ions from skin salts, which initiate microscopic pitting in stainless steel and accelerate the breakdown of rubber gaskets. Studies on corrosion rates show that untreated sweat can double the speed of chloride accumulation in just 2 weeks, but a single weekly wipe with a soft, damp cloth cuts that build up in half compared to monthly cleaning. For the watch's seals, this routine is critical. Grime and salt left at the crown or pushers can wick moisture inside, undermining water resistance even before a gasket visibly fails. Unlike technical lubrication or movement service, this habit is pure prevention. No tools, no expertise required. Owners who commit to a weekly clean not only preserve the finish and extend strap life, but also reinforce the micro-routine of inspecting the crown and case for early signs of gasket wear. In the world of mechanical watches, where internal precision depends on external care, the weekly wipe is a non-negotiable habit that quietly underpins every other accuracy discipline. In the 13th place, the silence test rounds out the diagnostic toolkit with a habit that costs nothing but attention. In a quiet room, hold the watch close and listen, not for the volume of the tick, but for the rhythm. A healthy escapement produces a perfectly even, almost metronomic beat. When the interval between ticks starts to wobble, or when a faint double tick emerges, the watch is signaling trouble long before it shows up on a time grafer or in daily rate drift. Trained ears in Japanese workshops use this auditory check to catch beat error, tiny asymmetries in the balance wheel's swing that often precede measurable loss of accuracy. Off-beat ticks are the earliest warning of a displaced pivot, a sticky pallet fork, or oil that has started to gum up. Unlike the tap test or the 24-hour timing protocol, the silence test is pure listening. No tapping, no tools, no risk of harm. It is a meditative moment that connects owner and movement, inviting a kind of sensory stewardship that is rare in Western routines. When combined with regular logging and physical checks, this habit forms a triad of early detection, empowering owners to notice subtle changes before they become expensive repairs. The silence test is not a substitute for professional service, but it is the most intimate way to know when your watch needs it. Across all these habits, one truth surfaces. Mechanical watch accuracy is shaped far more by owner discipline than by waiting for the next service. Japanese workshop practice proves that small, consistent actions, humidity control, crown discipline, careful storage, and routine rate checks can delay wear and reveal trouble before it's expensive. Prevention is not folklore, it's engineering. But remember, no habit replaces a professional when service is due. Keep your watch honest and keep your standards high.